Happy Wednesday to you guys. I'm Bryan Bailey. This is Joshua Huffmaster, and we're coming at you today on day 38 of my 365-day journey to hopefully lowering your blood pressure. And again, we can all use that right about now. Make that relationship with your dog, because more than likely you're having to spend a lot of time with them that you normally don't spend. So these videos are going to become more important than ever. That's why we keep rolling them, even though we're in this crisis with this COVID-19. All right, this week I decided to focus on all those viewer questions. We've had a ton of them coming in. I really appreciate the participation, because participation is required, especially when it comes to owning dogs. Now, a question that we get all the time, Joshua, he and I were just talking about it, and I'm going to reach out to Shelly. She's one of our top fans, top viewers. We love her to death, love her dog to death. And she asked this question, and she also is going to allow us to show a video to kind of help you understand it. But she asked, Bryan, can dogs tell the difference between right and wrong? Okay, and then she said, and if they can, why do they choose to do wrong anyway? You should probably ask our kids that. Ask yourself that. You know, it's wrong, but okay, I'm going to go eat the cake anyway. I'm not going to share that last piece with anyone. That's what we do, and I think that actually happened here today. You were asking me, I took a piece of one of our employees had a birthday, and she brought in a birthday cake, and I said, guys, you can help yourself to the cake, and the first thing they asked was, to the whole cake? Now, I don't know. So that might be Bryan there right now, but instead of using right and wrong, because again, when we train our dogs, we need to adopt an anthropo-denial type approach, not anthropomorphism, where we think they have human qualities, because they really don't. Much as you don't want to believe that, much as we'd like to think something different of them, it's just the absolute scientific truth. They just don't hold or possess the cognitive abilities that we have to even wonder about where did we come from, is there a higher power, and so on and so forth. They're more like here and now animals. How am I right this moment? Am I hungry? Am I not hungry? Am I afraid? Am I not afraid? So on and so forth. So I would encourage you to cross out these words right here. And let's go ahead and substitute them with words like safe and dangerous. Okay? So, case in point. We've owned dogs in my household that if you're not careful about doing your training correctly, they will learn that it's dangerous to do that behavior if we're home. But if we're not home, it is safe to do that behavior. How many of you viewing right now own a dog like that, or you have owned a dog like that? I mean, if there was a cat litter box in our house when we first got a cat and introduced it to our dogs, that litter box would be one of those things where, oh, I'm going to get in that. But I'm not, because Bryan and Kira are home. But I kid you not, I set one of our dogs up one time and put a little camera where I could view the dog and see what the dog would do. And as soon as we were leaving the driveway of our home, you could watch from the camera that we held, and here's that darn dog looking out the window going, they're almost gone. Yep, they're gone. And there he goes, right to the litter box. All right, guys.
To most people, that seems like the dog is contemplating, okay, I'm going to get them as soon as they're gone. But if you refer back to Bryan's video about semiotics, we're nothing but more than a signal to the dog. It's just a signal. It's like you sitting at a red light. It's not safe to go forward. As soon as you see that green signal, it's safe to go forward. So that's all that we are. It's not a contemplative, the dog is getting revengeful, or that dog's going, I can't wait till you guys leave.
Yeah, not that we do it out of spite. It's just that they're opportunistic animals. That's what nature made them out to be. Take advantage of every opportunity you're presented with. Again, we don't know for sure if you're ever going to get any more calories. Dogs don't know for sure we're going to feed them forever. Any opportunity they get, remember the biologically prepared learning, meaning my cognition was designed to learn, first of all, anything that will directly or positively impact my survival. And, okay, maybe cat poop is nutritious. Maybe it's just delicious. I don't know. But for them, they obviously think it's a food source. So again, they just learned that, hey, when someone said, no, out of that litter box, and then all of a sudden they snuck in there or they just went in there on just happenstance. Usually it's just out of coincidence. I go in there, I put my nose in, I find, wow, that's a benefit. That's a real benefit. But then all of a sudden, some human yells at me. And then the next time, there's no human benefit. But then human yells at me. Cost. You do that more than a couple times, and they're going to now say, you know, it's dangerous to poke my nose in that litter box when those humans are around. But it's safe to do that when they're not around. It's just better to approach it like that than to right or wrong. Because now you start thinking, because that's when you do start thinking, well, you did that out of spite. You were just being vengeful.
And when we were watching that video, I said to you that I understand why people think that the dog knows right from wrong, because the way in which the dog is acting, if that was a human, then, oh, by golly, it definitely looks like the dog knows, oh, I done screwed up.
Exactly.
But it has nothing to do with what the dog did prior that day, or even moments ago, minutes ago. It has nothing to do with that. It's in the now. What is the dog's behavior because of the signals that are present at that moment, at that very moment?
Right, so the video that he was just talking about, we're going to show it to you right now. So I'm going to have Mackenzie, she's doing the filming here. She's another professional trainer here. You don't see her very often because she's behind the camera, not in front of the camera. But this is a video that Shelly allowed us to share here, and I want you to see this, so listen and watch.
Come here, Katie. Come here.
Here comes Katie, all sheepishly, cautiously.
Come on. Get in here. Did you do that? Huh? Come here. Sit down. Sit. Did you do that?
Now, I know we probably just ruined how funny the guilty dog compilations are, because those videos on YouTube that you can watch of it's just dog after dog that looks super guilty, you can now watch those and they're not going to be as funny because you see a very confused dog in those videos now. They're not guilty.
So, you know, we were talking about that before this video, and I was telling Joshua, if I'm in another room in my house and I hear, Bryan, come here, Bryan, come here. And I'm going to be, oh no, whether I'm guilty or not, I'm going to think, oh no, just by that voice inflection. I mean, there's some sort of danger being communicated to my way. It's almost like a warning. And wow, do I go or don't go? If I've been trained to come and I hear come, then I go, but I'm not going to go willingly. I'm not going to go with all this, yay, hey, what's up with you today? If you hear that tone, and that is what Katie in that particular video, I'm not saying all the times, but in that particular video, that's what was happening there. You can hear the owner's tone. And this is typically what happens, you know, when people come home.
Yeah, and we can't sit here and say exactly if your dog behaves like this, what is your dog, what is the signal that's causing your dog to act that way? But we can tell you a variety of things. If you punish your dog when you come home because you saw a pile of poop on the floor or torn up trash or whatever, if the intensity of your punishment was high enough, then the dog is going to start to associate that negative experience with you simply coming home. And then it's going to be by happenstance that the dog is already hiding by the time you get home, and there happens to be trash out on the floor. Because when you're not home, getting into the trash is hunky-dory. But as soon as you get home, oh no, and that association is drawn with you getting home. And we were talking how it's very possible, and we've probably even seen it before, that the dog associates the pile of poop on the floor as the negative association, as the things are going to go south very quickly, but not the act of relieving themselves. I mean, I'm sure you guys have had to go before, and it's pretty beneficial to go when you got to go.
Are you going to go whether it's beneficial or not?
Right, exactly. You got to go when nature calls. But once the dog relieves themselves, keep in mind, anytime we are dealing with giving a reward or a benefit, it has to be within 2 seconds. So 2 seconds goes by, dog turns around, and there's a pile of poop on the floor. They're not associating it with the time in which that they relieved themselves. They're associating the signal that's on the floor. And the last time, if anybody out there is still, rubbing their dog's nose and their feces or anything like that, please, 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 please stop doing that.
Yes.
Because now the dog sees that pile of poop and is going, oh no, things are about to go south. So it could be you coming home. It could be the fact that there's trash on the floor. It could be the fact that there's a pile of poop on the floor. It could be anything, but it's most definitely not the act in which that the dog performed that they feel guilty about.
Yeah, because they simply don't know right versus wrong. They really don't. They know safe versus dangerous. They're opportunistic animals. Another thing about rubbing your dog's nose in, by the way, for some dogs who are a little bit stronger willed, you can actually jumpstart what's called cropophagia, where you let that genie out of the bottle and they found out, actually this tastes pretty darn good. And that's a nasty habit that you really don't want to start if you can help it. But like Joshua said, many times we have these situations like we saw with Katie. Not only is it the signal that the owner's giving, the inhalation of breath, you walk in the door, you go, and the dog hears that because I heard that before something happened, something that wasn't pleasant. You come in and the timing's well off. It's not within 2 seconds. It is anywhere from 10 minutes to 2 hours to half a day. You arrive, you see torn up trash on your floor, you see a pile of poop on your floor, you go, dog, and you show it to them, and you say, bad dog, and you think they're going to put that together. So of course, when you come home the next day, the dog did not put that together. Your dog's all excited to see you like it was on day one. And now you really get frustrated. You really become upset because, wow, I just showed this to you yesterday. I thought you learned your lesson yesterday. So you really punish the dog. Now, day 3, you come home. The dog hears those keys in the doorknob turning, the garage door going up, and yeah, they run for it. Why? Your arrival at home has become the predictor of the punishment that will occur shortly after you arrive home. So now the dog is looking for a safe haven. And unfortunately, golly, these people walk in the house and they go, well, Bryan, I came home and my dog was already underneath the coffee table. And I said, hey, honey, see that? See that? He's acting guilty. He knows better. He knows right from wrong.
And people who have put their dog in timeout as a punishment, the dog will often go to the timeout spot because that's where the punishment stops.
Yes, actually, that's the safe haven. That is the safe haven.
I actually had an acquaintance a while back that used to show me a video. It was a gentleman I knew at a dog park that I used to frequent when I was younger. And he would show me a video of the timeout spot that he had his dog go to when it would get in trouble. And it was on top of a chair facing a corner, just like you would a child. And sure enough, he would come home and the dog had already put himself in timeout because that was the safe spot. I won't get in trouble if I'm sitting on this chair. That's where the punishment ends.
Yeah, and again, that's directly related to survival. So they're going to learn that first. They're going to learn that better than anything that you try to teach them that is not directly related to survival. I tell people all the time, dogs only carry one suitcase with them into the future. With all future encounters, all future behaviors, it's a suitcase called success. They do not carry a suitcase called failures or losings. That is unique to humans. We're the only species who does that. Hence why Einstein wrote the definition of insanity. When you keep doing the same behavior over and over again, expecting a different response. That's us. Welcome to being human.
All insane.
Yeah, we're all insane. We're all going crazy. But it's not your dog. They're smart animals. They're going to weigh cost versus benefit on every behavior they perform. And they're going to take safe versus dangerous. They're going to seek out any opportunity that's available to them. And when they do this behavior, if we're not there to check that natural canine behavior, like I talked a little bit about yesterday, if we're not there to do that, we don't catch it right in the right moment, the likelihood that the dog will pair the two together just gets, with every passing second, that likelihood becomes more and more dim, less and less of a chance for that to happen. So just remember, you're dealing with an animal who has no language at all, none whatsoever. And here we are using spoken words, and we're using human-type behaviors. Inhalation, being stiff, raising our voice, making our voices deeper. All of these things are signals in an animal kingdom in which the signals are asymmetric. I'm not here to start two-way communication with your dog. I'm here to influence your behavior. And dogs do likewise to us. So my recommendation would this be, first of all, get rid of this right here. Because this makes you think you're dealing with a human in a fur coat. And now what the danger behind that is you expect them to behave like a human. And it's really unfair to expect an animal to behave in a way in which they don't know how. I've never been a human. Absolutely. Well, Martian landed right here, right now. Got 8 arms and tentacles or whatever. Knowing me. Here's Bryan. Hey, I don't know what you are, but welcome to Earth. It ain't perfect, but you're more than welcome to be here. And that could get me killed. That gesture reaching towards that animal or that Martian could get me killed. Think of it like that, guys. They're a little bit of aliens in our world. We pulled them into here. Now just make sure you give them grace and the understanding. Don't give them responsibilities and burdens that they can't bear. So make sure, safe versus dangerous.
And so if you are dealing with coming home and your dog's getting into the trash or pottying on the floor, and your dog is behaving this way, 2 main things. First of all, if you can, address those behaviors in the moment in which that they happen. They cannot take place afterwards. 2, if you're not capable of doing that because you have to leave the dog home alone for work or whatever, management. Put the dog in a crate. Contain the animal in some way. Don't give the dog the opportunity to fail.
Yeah, that's a really good point there. It's called restraining. There's a time to restrain and a time to actively train. But what you have to understand is that restraining is training.
Right.
It really is. Well, speaking about that crate, we're going to talk a little bit about that tomorrow, about crate training. Is it inhumane to put your dog in a crate? So many people struggle with that. They go, gosh, I don't want to put my dog in doggy jail all day long, but I also don't want to come home to what Shelly came home to. And again, I even talked about how it's dangerous. The dog could ingest half of that stuff. So we'll be talking about crates tomorrow. Is it humane to keep your dog in a crate? Is it not humane to do so? And just give you the straight up facts like we always just try to do. All right, guys, we've been on here for a long time. Joshua, thanks for hopping on here with me today.
I appreciate it. I hope I was able to give some insight.
Yep, absolutely, no doubt. Guys, day 38, again, if you found this video informational to you, informative to you, beneficial to someone else, you know what to do. Please share it. That's what we're trying to get this thing to do. Get it out there, spread it, share it. And we'll be seeing you guys tomorrow. And of course, if you have any questions, by the way, of your own, please send them in to us. You can comment on this post, or you can also send them to Bryan with a Y at tamingthewild.com. Enjoy the rest of your day, and as always, be safe.